Howdy y'all, I'm Brylan. So I had to wear my Read the Bible shirt for this video. You're going to find out why in just a second. But real quick, this shirt is a part of my apparel brand, and you can find this and tons more designs in the link below. So Andy Stanley is at it again, believe it or not. This man is one of the most dangerous pastors in America today, and I'm going to show you this video clip of a recent sermon that he gave that shows that this man has completely gone off the deep end. Real quick, before I show you the clip of this recent sermon that Andy Stanley gave, it's going to blow your mind. I want you to be acquainted with who Andy Stanley is. I'm going to show you this quick montage of things that Andy Stanley has taught in the past so you can get an idea of what you're dealing with here.
There's no necessary conflict between evolution and theism because evolution is a means. Theism says there was an agent.
No, we don't believe in the resurrection because the Bible tells us so. And the question is simply this, but Andy, okay, I get all that. But Andy, the Bible is how we know about the resurrection. Actually, it's not.
That Bible is where you get the message that Jesus rose again from the dead.
No, it's not.
Well, explain that, Andy. Explain that. What do you mean by saying the Bible doesn't say that Jesus rose from the dead?
Because the Bible doesn't say anything. John did, Moses did, David did,
And that's in the Bible.
Paul did, but it was only in the Bible once it got put in the Bible.
That's incoherent. And
And the fact that Jesus didn't believe that good people go to heaven, that doesn't necessarily make it true. That's just what he taught. And that's what he said. And clearly it's what he believed. Figure out how to get straight people as excited about serving and engaging as the gay men and women I know. We would have a volunteer backlog. A gay person who still wants to attend church after the way the church has treated the gay community, I'm telling you, they have more faith than I do. They have more faith than a lot of you. And so my purpose today is to inspire you and to try to convince you in your preaching and your teaching and your writing to tether the faith of the next generation and maybe some of this generation to the event of the resurrection rather than the inspiration, infallibility, or the authority of the Bible. And it's an assumption that I was raised on, and it's an assumption that most of you were raised on. In fact, when I state this, the assumption, part of your brain will go, well, that can't be true, and part of you will feel nervous that I'm saying it's not true. And the assumption is simply this, that the Bible is the foundation of the Christian faith.
This is the Unconditional Conference. This is an LGBT affirming conference that's put on at North Point Community Church, which is Andy Stanley's church. In fact, he is one of the main speakers at this conference. Now, I have videos on my channel dealing with all those clips you just saw from Andy Stanley. So with a little bit of an understanding of where Andy Stanley is coming from in his theology, listen to what Andy Stanley had to say about Christianity and politics.
Political affiliation has become the litmus test for orthodoxy. I hope you haven't seen this, but let me just tell you, what I'm about to tell you is not kind of off in a corner. This is mainline speaking and posting, and books are written and chapters of books are written about this. This isn't in the corner. These are, if I named the people who are saying these things, you've heard of most of them. You've read some of their books. That you can't be a Christian and be a Democrat. You can't possibly be a true Christian if you're a Democrat, which is absolutely absurd. But what's even more absurd is as conservative Christians, Republicans, demonize Democrats, all Democrats, and you can't possibly be a Christian, as they demonize Democrats, they basically go against one of Jesus' primary teachings. Instead of loving their enemies, all these lost Democrats, they demonize them. They make Democrats the enemy. And what did Jesus tell us to do with our enemies? Anybody remember? Yeah. So let me just say to those of you who are conservative politically like me.
Conservative politically like me.
You can disagree, but you don't write somebody off as bad and evil. Here's why. You think it's just kind of funny. You study history. All that has to happen in any country is for a majority to decide a minority is evil. And once they're evil, they're cockroaches and they're rats.
Disgusting.
And once they're evil, the only thing to do with evil, you don't redeem evil. You don't share your faith with evil. You get rid of evil. That language is so extraordinarily harmful.
He just compared Christians to Nazis. Yet Christians are the ones doing the demonizing? This is the same man that is LGBT affirming, that is apologizing to LGBT for the way biblical Christians have stood up for the Bible. The same man that said Just because Jesus said it doesn't make it true, but Jesus believed it. The same man that believes in evolution. What you're seeing here from Andy Stanley in this entire clip is him subtly trying to twist reality, twist the truth in order to get you to start thinking outside of biblical Christianity and more towards this leftist progressive turn that society is completely embracing today. Something that Andy Stanley has completely embraced himself. And he is trying to turn his flock away from biblical Christianity and into this destructive, naturalism, atheistic, progressive type mindset that is dominating today. And no, I am not saying that being a Republican or being a conservative automatically makes you a Christian. But what Andy Stanley stands for is completely antithetical to the Bible. And remember, Andy Stanley doesn't even think that we should cite the Bible as part of our faith. I 100% believe that you cannot be a born-again Christian and advocate for the things that Democrats and leftists advocate for. It is not the label Democrat, but it is the ideology and the heart behind what they clearly and unashamedly stand for. It is diametrically and fundamentally opposed to Christianity. When someone claims to be a Christian and a liberal or a Democrat, a progressive, they are literally showing you their fruit before they even have to act. They are staking a claim into something that is clearly in opposition to God. Now, do I believe a Democrat can become a born-again Christian and take time coming out of being aligned with those kind of ideologies that the left stands for? Absolutely, 100%. And this does not mean that being a Republican or a conservative automatically makes you a Christian. Not at all. But to say that I'm not going to pick a side, I'm not going to be involved in politics at all, goes directly against God, because God is sovereign and in control of all things. If you actually read the Bible, you would see that God is the one that establishes governments and establishes leaders. He also takes governments and leaders away. We live in a system that God allowed, and we should do everything we can to steward it well. Andy Stanley also claims that it's Christians and conservatives that are the ones that are demonizing and attacking Democrats. I would love to see the proof there. Are there outliers? Are there nuts out there in every part of society? Yes, there absolutely are. But in terms of Christians and conservatives just nonstop, daily demonizing and going after Democrats in the way that leftists and progressives go after Christians in our society today, it's baffling that Andy Stanley can stand up on that stage and just outright blatantly lie and twist reality to fit his progressive narrative. It's the left that is continually on the prowl, continually looking for conservatives and Christians to devour. You remember Jack Phillips, right? And shout out to Allie Beth Stuckey for bringing up a lot of these examples in the video that she did. But you remember Jack Phillips, the man that refused to bake the cake for the LGB wedding. This was over a decade ago. He is still to this day fighting for his livelihood. And every time that he gets a win, or at least gets to open up shop again and start baking cakes, liberals send operatives in to get him to try to bake a cake that goes against what he believes and then hit him with another lawsuit. They have been attacking this man relentlessly. And praise God that this man, Jack Phillips, is steadfast in the truth and has not wavered and has not given in. You also saw a young girl named Julia Hicks who needed a life-saving kidney transplant, was rejected by Duke because she didn't want to get the co-fraud jab. So Duke, which is extremely liberal, progressive, refused to give this young girl a life-saving operation because she wouldn't go along with the authoritarian control of the left. 4 pro-life protesters found guilty of the FACE Act violations in Tennessee. This was actually a story involving this man right here. His name is Paul Vaughn, which he narrowly escaped. He was just sentenced a few days ago as of the recording of this video, where he was facing a decade in prison for peacefully protesting outside of a slaughter clinic. They didn't stop anybody from going in and out of the building. They didn't do anything but sing hymns and try to share the truth, the gospel with people. And the Biden regime went after him full bore, sent the DOJ and everything to try to convict him and get him sent to prison. Actually, one of my latest videos right here goes over the story of Paul Vaughn and all the things that were involved with that. It's called They Really Don't Want You to See This. They actually tried to ban this video. I had to put a disclaimer up at the beginning of this video sharing why it took so long to upload. So no, Andy Stanley, it's not the Democrats that are the victims here. When you are diametrically opposed and fundamentally opposed to God and His Word, and Christians speak out against the atrocities that the left is implementing in our society today, that's not called being unloving and not loving the way Jesus calls us to. It's called having a spiritual backbone and standing on the truth and not giving in to depravity that is being shoved down the throats of Christians in your church. And lastly, 2 Timothy chapter 3 talks about in the last days, people will be all these wretched things, that love will be twisted in their hearts. They will not stand for true love. It'll be a love of self, a love of money. It will be not loving good. It will be lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. These people will be unappeasable. They'll be heartless and all these wretched things. And it ends with that they'll actually have the appearance of godliness, but deny its power. That's what you're seeing Andy Stanley do left and right. Deny the power of God and instead promote the power of self, promote the power of man. And the Bible tells us to avoid such people. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you regularly. And please hit that thumbs up button. You know when you like this video to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.